Hey guys, welcome to the homestead. So today I'm out here at our Sacote field, and years ago someone told me if you want to be a good sheep farmer, you need to first learn how to be a good grass farmer. And this grass is just not growing as fast as I want it to this spring, and so I'm going to help it out, I think, with some fertilizer. I'm going to stop by my extension office and see if there's any chicken barns. There's lots of chicken barns around here, but some of them, a few of them, will use natural feed for their chickens, and see if I can find some good fertilizer for this and have that delivered sometime this next week. In the meantime, I've got these bales of hay here. I've got one bale of hay right there left for the sheep if I need it, but I'm about ready to turn them loose. There's some other good parts of the homestead that's got some good grass on it. But these hay bales, if you have any left over, they make great soil building material. So I'm going to unravel this. I just dropped this off at the tractor earlier today, and I'm going to put this out in a place here around here where I can help encourage some grass growth. And the sheep will keep it trimmed down. Sheep get up here and they'll chew down whatever foliage they can find. But this will help encourage some grass growth around here. And let me show you another spot where I'm encouraging some grass growth. Now back over here, this is the top of our root cellar, and I've been putting a hay bale on top of this. I put a hay bale on top of here last year, and I have another hay bale I'm going to be unraveling and spreading out over here to help encourage some soil building and some grass growth on top of here. I just don't want it to be covered with weeds, so I'm trying to encourage the grass growth as much as possible. And let me walk over here. One of these limbs fell down during a recent ice storm we had during the winter. And I've been planting a few things over the top of this root cellar, and this is hops. And so what this does, I have a few other places where you can see it coming up just barely. I planted some rhizomes for some hops. There's one right there. There's a couple other ones. There's another one, little one right there, if you can see it. And there's a few more spread out. There's another one over here. Looks like it's doing pretty good. You can see that one right there. There's one right here. And so these rhizomes that I put down will grow these hops over the top, and they will vine down over the top of this root cellar and hang down and kind of give it just a really nice look over the top of the root cellar. And then the other thing I'm going to plant, got in my pocket here, are these, depending on how you pronounce it, Sturtium Seeds. Sturtium Seeds. I got this from Eden Brothers. And these have a nice plant that vines down, will vine down over the top of this as well. And it produces some really nice flowers. And cool thing about this is edible. You can eat these things. You can make teas with them and stuff like that, with the leaves and stuff like that. There's all kinds of information online. But the nasturtium, it's really pretty, and just gives a nice foliage to grow with the hops. Now the hops, as they mature and get older throughout the year, I can collect them, the vines, and then feed the hops to my sheep. They're very high in protein, so it's just another food source that I can have, as well as a decorative. I want things to have multiple functions on my homestead, if possible. So if you're looking for something that's good protein, something to feed your sheep, hops. I'm not a beer maker, so I'm not going to make beer with it. I just don't have the equipment. I don't want to delve into that, but it is a good feed source for animals. So they'll chew on that and they'll eat it. Anyway, that's what I'm doing today. Let me show you something else. Now I'm going to work on this wall, finishing this wall all the way up both sides of the root cellar this spring and summer. It's going to be something I definitely want to try to finish this year. But you can see over the top of this thing, all those vines and pretty flowers and stuff growing over the top of that, and down that root cellar, the face of that root cellar will give it a nice look, I think. Anyway, all right, let me show you something else. Here's another example of what you can do with an old hay bale at the end of winter that you may have left over in the spring, is to take that hay bale and put it next to your chicken coop. And then throughout the summer, you can unravel this and spread it out either in your coop with the chickens are outside the coop so they can come out and scratch in it. They'll eat the hay seeds that are in there. They'll dig and find whatever bugs that are in there, and they'll eat that. So it's another food source you can put in for your chickens. And the chickens, I'm telling you, they'll love it. They'll just go through that, and it's an extra food source that you don't have to buy at the store. Sheep have probably their last hay bale of the year out there. They're chewing. I put that out this morning with the boys and the tractor, and that's probably going to be their last hay bale of the year before I turn them loose on the grass that's growing around the homestead. But yeah, they're enjoying that. Let me show you what I was going to show you down here. Hi girls, how you doing? How you doing, girls? They're coming out like, what are you doing? Let's see if I can get in here. Now, this sheep right here, that sheep, she had mastitis a few weeks ago. It was pretty bad. Both of her udders were very much infected with mastitis, and I don't use antibiotics on my sheep. At least I try not to. I try not to use any medicines. But for her, I used Nixol. Nixol is a type of disinfectant, and I learned about this years ago from someone else, and I took a syringe and I gave her an injection of Nixol into each one of her udders, just with a needle. Just stuck it up in her udder and shot up a little bit of Nixol in there. And I used two different applications about 2 or 3 days apart, and she's just fine now. So I took care of her mastitis, and she was good to go. So Nixol is something you might want to have a little bit of it on hand. The Nixol that I did use was about, I don't know, 2 years expired, and it still worked. They say Nixol is only good for about a year before it expires, but it worked just fine. I did order a new batch of it to have it on hand, but it did real well. So if you ever have an animal with mastitis, my neighbor also used it for one of his cows who had mastitis, and he used that also. Nixol, just give an injection with the syringe needle up into the udder, and it should clear out that infection within a couple days. The thing I was going to show you today is one of my experiments that's going on in the homestead. In this lower paddock that I have here, I planted my spelt, and it is growing pretty well. And that's all spelt that I planted in the fall. I planted it pretty late in the fall, almost in winter, and so it's a little behind schedule, but I'm going to see what happens. Now normally this is the paddock where I grow my sorghum, and so I'm going to see how long it takes for this to pop up, because I do want to plant sorghum this year. So we'll see how this works. I'm going to take some of our chicken manure and spread it over this to give it a nice nitrogen boost over the next month or so. I'm going to put that out here probably the next day or so. I'm going to dry out some of the chicken manure that we've collected from our chickens, and I'll put that over this field and just spread it with a shovel, just kind of toss it out there as sporadic as I can, and then see if that helps. I've heard that you want to put some nitrogen to your spelt in the springtime, and so that's what I'm going to be doing. I'll be doing that pretty soon. But some of the stuff looks like it's gotten pretty well tall. I don't see any heads yet on that, but it's getting kind of long. So we'll see how this all works out in the next few weeks, and I'll keep you posted. I want to be able to grow some of my own grain, either for feed or for myself, making bread with it. I make bread with spelt. So I'll keep you posted on how that works out, and we'll see what happens. I have one of these apps on my phone that allows you to take a picture of a plant and identify it to let you know what it is, and it's come in handy. There's I think I did a video on this a while back, but this is called purple dead nettle, and it grows all around the front of my house, and it's actually a very nutritious plant. When it comes to plant identification, it's always good to know different things that you can use for food, things that contain a lot of minerals, medicinal properties, things like that. That's why that app is very handy. I encourage you to find an app like that and put it on your phone, so you can learn to identify certain things that you have growing around your homestead and understand if they have any sort of use that you may need in the future, either food or medicinal reasons. But this purple dead nettle, I've had it before. It's very tasty. And again, highly nutritious. But Also have some chickweed growing around here and some other things. But I highly encourage you to get one of those apps and find something that you can use around the homestead, again, for medicinal reasons or even food, supplements as well. So, speaking of gardens, if you're interested in gardening, ClearwaterValleyFarms.com still has our seed pack for sale, and they have other seeds for sale. Check them out. Link in the description below, ClearwaterValleyFarms.com. Check them out and see if you can get your seeds. If you don't have your seeds yet already, I highly recommend that company, ClearwaterValleyFarms.com. Again, link in the description below. All right, guys. See you next time in the homestead. Bye.
This is Grandma. Grandma survived the Great Depression. She survived the Great Depression because her supply chain was local and she knew how to do stuff. Grandma was smart. Grandma told us to make do with what you got. She also said, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Homesteading is all about self-reliance and declaring ourselves to be independent from the system. We grow our own food, we raise our own animals, and doing these things helps safeguard our families from the unpredictable world that surrounds us. But what about banking? I love being my own power company, but what about being my own bank? Right now, our country is over $30 trillion in debt and rising. The Fed keeps printing money, and the Congress won't stop spending money. Staying attached to the modern banking system and their investment vehicles is like putting all of your eggs in one very, very fragile basket. On one side, you have the threat of inflation and your savings value floating away, and the other side is a possible deflationary stock market collapse, just like what happened in the 1930s. Genesis Gold Group is like a basket holding eggs, and these eggs are impossible to break. History shows us that all paper investments have and will return to their intrinsic value eventually, zero. But gold, silver, and other precious metals have never, ever been worthless. In every collapse throughout history, people have turned back to precious metals to find monetary value. If you have a 401k, an IRA, or a savings account where you're literally watching the purchasing power inflate away, give Genesis Gold Group a call right now. Today, this instant. They can develop a strategy for you in the days ahead. I can tell you how I raise sheep, I can tell you how I raise chickens, or the best way to grow tomatoes, or how to hook up a solar panel. But Genesis Gold Group is your best shot at safeguarding your hard-earned savings and investments during this increasingly turbulent time in history. The link and phone number is in the description below, or visit their website at genesisgoldgroup.com. And be sure to say you heard about them from An American Homestead.
Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of An American Homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the homestead that we make here on the homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. I'll wait.